Harmonic Hypnotherapy. Terms and conditions. Legal notice. The publisher has strived to be as accurate and complete as possible in the creation of this report, notwithstanding the fact that he does not warrant or represent at any time that the contents within are accurate due to the rapidly changing nature of the Internet. While all attempts have been made to verify information provided in this publication, the publisher assumes no responsibility for errors, omissions, or contrary interpretation of the subject matter herein. Any perceived slights of specific persons, peoples, or organizations are unintentional. In practical advice books, like anything else in life, there are no guarantees of income made. Readers are cautioned to rely on their own judgment about their individual circumstances to act accordingly. This book is not intended for use as a source of legal, business, accounting, or financial advice. All readers are advised to seek services of competent professionals in legal, business, accounting, and finance fields. You are encouraged to print this book for easy reading. Table of Contents. Foreword. Chapter 1. Introduction to Hypnotherapy. Chapter 2. Hypnotherapy versus Psychotherapy. Chapter 3. Negatives associated with hypnotherapy. Chapter 4. Suggestion-based and visualization-guided therapy. Chapter 5. 3 more techniques of hypnotherapy. Chapter 6. Detailed description of inner healing and releasement. Chapter 7. Application of hypnotherapy in medicine. Wrapping up. Forward. Hypnotherapy is a great tool which is helping people out all across the globe. Some people might think that these are just illusions and there is no effective technique of hypnotherapy, but after reading this whole ebook you will know hypnotherapy really exists and it works very effectively to clear your mind from all the false and bad thoughts. Basically, hypnotherapy is used to cure mental illness, which includes mental disorders, stress management, and other similar problems, but these days with modern and advanced hypnotherapy, physical illness is also being cured. To understand the process of hypnotherapy, a very detailed study and research is required, but in this ebook, I have tried to make things clearer and briefer. If you search online then, you will come across hundreds of ebooks on hypnotherapy, but this ebook is different because in this book I will give you a detailed understanding of hypnotherapy as well as I will tell you the exact and effective techniques of hypnotherapy. You can also know about original hypnotherapist and fake because there are people who are fooling around and calling themselves hypnotherapist but they actually do not have sufficient knowledge to be called one. I will also demonstrate some true and most effective hypnosis techniques which you can learn and apply them to get very good and surprising results. Harmonic Hypnotherapy. The Handbook of Achieving Total Harmony Through Hypnotherapy. Chapter 1. Introduction to Hypnotherapy. Synopsis. Hypnosis is a different state of mind in which people can react according to your suggestions. Hypnosis bypasses your conscious brain and access the subconscious brain directly. When a person is hypnotized then, he starts to perceive things in a totally different way and this perception can be emotional or physical. Some people think that you need to first believe in hypnosis in order to be hypnotized, but for a true hypnotherapist, this is not necessary. The ability of hypnotherapy to heal some physical illness depends totally upon the strength of mind. If a person has a strong belief in himself then, it is quite possible that hypnotherapy can simulate that mind thoughts even more and physical condition may get better, but if a person wants to die then, no one can save him. Normally humans use 5% of their total brain and this 5% is the conscious mind while the rest of the 95% is subconscious which controls our internal systems like digestion, blood flow, regulation of hormones, body temperature and pain management and many more. All of these functions can be manipulated with medicines. Hypnotherapy has no side effect because it does not add anything to your body. Actual working of hypnotherapy. When people give their will to go under a hypnotherapy session then, lots of questions arise in their minds. For example, they will ask, will they remember the session? Can hypnotherapist make them to do things which he wants? Is it dangerous? Will I be completely lost during hypnotherapy session? All of these questions can be answered just after going through a hypnotherapy session. In order to guide your mind, hypnotherapist does not need to know the exact chemical reactions which are occurring in your mind, instead he just needs to access the right part of the brain and store the right information. For everything which you need to do, there is an instruction coming from your subconscious mind. For example, when you are passing from a food market, then a certain smell of food will urge you to go and eat that. Now that suggestion of eating upon smelling was given by subconscious. Similarly, hypnotherapist can simulate your subconscious to react against a certain illness or some bad habit like smoking. When you experience sexual arousal, then you cannot make that go unless you get that sexual instinct out of your mind which made you to arouse. When the reason for that suggestion goes, the subconscious stops to give instructions. A patient's example can clearly explain all of this procedure very clearly. A female came with fear of needles and she wanted to donate blood, but when she was laid back for taking out the blood, then the fear of needle was so fierce in her mind that her subconscious mind stopped the blood flow in her arms. When she was explained that there are other parts in her body which can be treated for taking blood, then the blood returned to her arms in 30 seconds. She was not even in a hypnotized state, but still her subconscious changed the instructions. Similarly, you can make someone subconscious to change instructions and give more proper and effective instructions. Chapter 2. Hypnotherapy versus psychotherapy. Synopsis: hypnotherapy is very different from psychotherapy because psychotherapy deals with the conscious mind, and that is too hard and time-consuming. The difference is conscious mind is weaker than subconscious, and it takes lot more time and lots more techniques to tame conscious mid. On the other hand, subconscious mind is very sharp and powerful part of human brain. Hypnotherapy is the only technique which approaches subconscious brain directly. Usually hypnotherapy takes 75% less time than psychotherapy. This does not mean that you should always skip psychotherapy. Instead, it is seen from normal behaviors that 90% of the cases are solved at conscious level by psychotherapist, while 10% are referred to qualified hypnotherapist. Psychotherapy analyzes the problems from many viewpoints and it judges response from all points. There is a very detailed and prolonged procedure for carrying out a problem and solving it. In short, you can say that psychotherapy is like constructing a building without knowing even an inch about construction. Psychiatry also uses medicines to overcome the problem and to alter the state of mind, and it is perceived by the psychotherapist that person will find a way out himself by analyzing things more deeply with him. Hypnotherapy, on the other hand, is totally different from this approach, and it deals with subconscious mind directly. The behaviors of "I cannot" or "I will not" reside in the conscious mind, and hypnotherapy bypasses those gestures and goes straight to the source. You can say that unlike in psychotherapy, hypnotherapy just gives the instruction, construct the building, and the building is constructed without giving detailed instructions. It is not necessary for hypnotherapist to claim a degree in psychotherapy or other brain treatment areas because hypnotherapy is different and unique, and people should not confuse it with other practices. Chapter 3. Negatives associated with hypnotherapy. Synopsis 1. Negative views about hypnotherapy. 2. Unhypnotized people. The thoughts negatives about hypnotherapy. People talk negatively about every profession of hypnotherapy is no exception. If you observe these negative comments closely, then you will see that most of these comments are coming from unqualified and unprofessional people. A psychotherapist or some doctor is not qualified enough to comment about hypnotherapy because these people do not know the exact technique and method of hypnotherapy. Every hypnotherapist uses different perception. It may happen that they ask similar sort of questions and their techniques may resemble, but every therapist uses different tactics and only he or she knows what their intentions are. Unhypnotized people who observe hypnotherapy will be observing it with their conscious mind, while conscious mind cannot understand and analyze that situation properly, and as a result they develop a negative thought about hypnotherapy. There are some people who cannot be hypnotized, but there are reasons behind this. First of such group are small children under the age of 6, because these children have small vocabularies and their subconscious mind is not that much vivid to be accessed. Second group of people are those with low IQ, and on average all people with IQ level of below 70 cannot be hypnotized. The third group of people is that which is suffering from schizophrenia, and these people can be hypnotized only when they do not know that they are being hypnotized, and if they know, then they can resist very effectively. Chapter 4. Suggestion-based and visualization guided therapy. Synopsis 1. Suggestion-based hypnotherapy. 2. Visualization and guided imagery. Envision suggestion-based hypnotherapy. Suggestion-based hypnotherapy is the most common type of hypnotherapy, and if you ask anyone about hypnotherapy, then he will tell you that hypnotherapy is a state of mind in which you are given suggestions like, "I do not overeat," or, "You do not take stress." So if you are undergoing this kind of treatment, then you are going through suggestion-based hypnotherapy. In more formal way, you can say that the practice of hypnotherapy which relies exclusively on the use of suggestions. Suggestion-based hypnotherapy has been used widely by hypnotherapists and is still very popular because it is simple, effective and very result-oriented technique. Normally hypnotherapy is seen only in movies and TV shows, and this practice have invoked a strong opinion among people that hypnotherapy is suggestion therapy, but the actual case is not that. Suggestion therapy is a part of hypnotherapy which is a much wider subject. To implement and understand hypnotherapy in that wider mode, you need to first distinguish between hypnosis and hypnotherapy because people and even some hypnotherapists confuse these two subjects. Hypnosis is just a tool to reach the goal, while hypnotherapy will tell you to utilize that state of mind. Hypnotherapists concentrate on giving suggestions so much that they forget actually to implement the other logics of hypnotherapy. You can say that hypnosis provides the bricks, but to construct a building with those bricks, you will need huge techniques of hypnotherapy. Suggestion-based hypnotherapy is the simplest approach, and in this approach hypnotherapist actually uses properly formed phrases to program your mind. You can take it as a programming language which is used to program your brain. Suggestions are thought as magic words for hypnotherapists, but these suggestions never address the cause of problem. They can bring about a short-term positive result, but in the long run, they can bring some negative impact. If a hypnotherapist is using suggestion-only therapy, then there is a probability of relapse. It is just like placing a bandage over a bullet hole. It will give you temporary relief, but you will not get 100% fit unless you pull that bullet out of your wound. Transference is another common negative associated with suggestion-only therapy because clients can adopt another negative habit in place of the previous one, and emotional transference can also occur. If you start to mask every negative though with suggestions, then there is a strong probability that your mind will not grow as much as it should because you will not allow it to grow by deploying all the real effort. Instead, you will keep masking all the thoughts with other thoughts and will not be able to learn lessons from life. So, in order to take full advantage of suggestion, you should go to some qualified hypnotherapist because he will know the exact and effective use of suggestions. He will not overuse them and will work positively for your mind frame. Visualization and guided imagery. In second type of hypnotherapy, you have to visualize, perceive and imagine things which can bring a positive, progressive and healthy change. People often think that they cannot imagine things in a very clear way and they shy away from this technique of hypnotherapy, but this is not entirely true because to make this technique effective, it is not necessary for you to see clearer and vivid images upon closing your eyes. Instead, you just need to imagine yourself in a more relaxing environment, for example at a beach. If you can feel that without seeing the images, then images are not really necessary. Visualization is used by hypnotherapists for developing some of the strongest and most powerful experiences for the clients. It is rather an easy approach of hypnotherapy, but it leads to very powerful results. To implement this technique effectively, you also need to be very creative because often you have to make the client believe that he is in a particular environment and then follow him with a series of events to make him believe that positive things have surrounded him and invoke a positive decision inside. People also prefer this practice to do at their own, but for self-visualization you also need to self-monitor and self-direct the whole session. Chapter 5. 3 more techniques of hypnotherapy. Synopsis 3. Regression 4. Parts therapy 5. Inner healing and releasement. See it. Regression therapy will find the exact cause of the problem, whether that is a mental trauma, phobia or any other emotional disorder. Regression also includes a special visualization designed to take the client into past, and it is also one of the most difficult therapy for hypnotherapists. The sessions of this therapy can be highly emotional, and if successful, then they can give relief to patient from a long and tiring problem which can be with them for years, and they can start a new life after a successful regression therapy. It is also difficult for hypnotherapist because it takes a lot increased skills for visualization and suggestion therapies of regression therapy level. If you think that you need an effective regression therapy, then you must spend some time and find a qualified hypnotherapist to do that, because in hands of rookies it can make things even worse. There are certain cases where regression therapy is even more effective, and I will describe these cases for you. First case is when there is one solid cause of your stress, pain or anxiety, then regression can heal that single cause very effectively. For example, if you are embarrassed in front of colleagues while giving a presentation and you are so confused that you are not even willing to give a presentation again, then regression therapy can solve this problem for you. If the cause of problem is very deep and emotional type, then regression can be tricky at times. For example, if a client has suffered through extreme pain and mind has blocked those parts of the memory, then hypnotherapist will try to force the cause out, and in this forcing, mind will fabricate those memories which will not be entirely true. In that case, hypnotherapist should be qualified enough to dialogue with those memories and settle them down. Another thing which you should take care of while considering regression therapy is the potential of getting stuck in an infinite loop of causes. As I mentioned above, that there should be one defining cause of the problem, in order to make regression therapy effective, and if you are solving one problem to find another cause, then the therapy will stuck in an infinite loop of causes where you will solve one problem to get another cause, and so on. It can also happen at time that hypnotherapist can be too demanding to the client, that the client will find regression therapy too painful and stressful. Some therapists rely mainly of regression to make continuous business, and they keep on telling the client that finding the cause is important, and they will eventually find the cause which will ultimately solve the whole problem. Parts therapy: if you are looking to discover yourself and you want to explore all the hidden abilities, then parts therapy is the solution which can help you in accessing the inner satisfaction. In this particular therapy, therapist dialogues with the inner characters, parts or sub-characters of the psyche of client. One of the famous characters of parts therapy is term used inner child. There is a child in everyone who always wants to have fun, enjoy life, and do things which can make the life better place. In parts therapy, you will communicate with that inner child of yours and will allow him to communicate, express and describe his behavior and desires. In short, you can say that parts therapy integrates a part of unconsciousness into consciousness. This process is also called psychosynthesis, and it is part of an individuation process. When you apply parts therapy to resolve some therapeutic issue, then it gives extra strength to the client, which helps them in surviving in most difficult times in day-to-day life. The therapist should use parts therapy within the limits, because if you rely too much on parts therapy, then it can go too far. For example, if a therapist is applying parts therapy in order to resolve a certain problem, then it can take too long for him to align and agree all the parts on one point. When you satisfy and deal with one part, then it often comes with the cost of other part, and in order to make everything right, you need to make sure that you are dealing with that affected part too. Parts therapy can make you to recognize the inner child, the brave warrior in you, the wise woman, the adventurer, the trickster, the judge, or any other person who resides in you, but you need to take the pledge and thin K about these characters very clearly. Inner healing and releasement. This is very raw form of hypnotherapy which directed towards the inner healing of personality, and it releases the pressure of subconscious. This technique of hypnotherapy is not as common as the other techniques, but it is very effective and result-oriented, and in recent times, there are a growing number of hypnotherapists who are learning this technique. Inner healing and releasement has many advantages over ordinary techniques. The biggest advantage of this technique is that it addresses the core problem very effectively, yet in a very soft and gentle manner without bothering the client much. This is best suited in situation where you have to erase the negative thoughts, beliefs and other such things from your subconscious mind. The amusing part is that once you deal with the problem, then it is done forever and no relapse or transference enters in the sessions. The change which this technique will bring is permanent and occurs to stay because you have invoked it from within yourself. In this type of therapy, the therapist acts just as a guide who guides for the right path and invokes your inner self to produce the change. Chapter 6. Detailed description of inner healing and releasement. Synopsis. Advantages of inner healing and releasement. Benefits advantages of inner healing and releasement. This is very primary and raw form of hypnotherapy which is addressed towards inner healing and releasement of subconscious pressure. It has got many advantages over ordinary therapies, and one of the most effective advantages is that once you are done with the core problem of the client, then there is no relapse or transference occurring, and it is concrete solution. Subconscious blocks which can create negative thoughts, personality disorder, laziness and other things can be easily resolved. In this form of therapy, you are not given suggestions. Instead, you do it from within yourself, and therapist acts just as a guide to show you the right path. There is a whole mechanism of healing, change and transformation available inside everyone, and you just need to invoke that system. Inner healing and releasement uses hypnosis just as a tool to create an environment of physical, emotional and mental relaxation. This is very easy therapy for the client as well, because you do not need to bring in visualization, and you do not need to program different parts of subconscious mind, and neither needs you to bring into conversation the different parts of personality. It can take time, and it may happen that it takes 2 or 3 sessions to lay its basics and make the ground, but some people are very hasty in their approach, and they think that if the result is not coming in first session of therapy, then it is not going to come at all. This is not the right approach. This is true that in many cases, results can come in one session, but it is not a hard and fast rule. This therapy, which is called inner healing and releasement, is guaranteed to provide you with results, and even if you have not got the result in one session, then you need to stick with the plan and carry on with more sessions. You should not go in these sessions with an approach to just check it out, because that will be a serious waste of your and therapist's time. You need to take this therapy very seriously, in order to observe the results, and it can bring a drastic emotional or inner change in your personality. It just needs not more than 7 to 10 hours of your time and 5 to 6 sessions with a qualified therapist. There are some facts associated with this approach which are as follows: your mind, body and emotions, all three participate in the session. Client is seen as a whole, and both his inner self and outer self are seen as interconnected. Client's past, present and future are also seen as interconnected and are observed closely. One problem is taken, and then its effects are seen on the overall life of the client. Any kind of therapy can be included in this therapy to ensure the effectiveness of the procedure. When this kind of therapy ends, then the client feels very light, and he knows that change has come from within and not by therapist. Chapter 7. Application of hypnotherapy in medicine. Synopsis 1. Hypnotherapy helps medicines. 2. Hypnotherapy for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. 3. Fibromyalgia. 4. Hypertension. 5. Hypno-oncology. Body relief. There are lots of area in which hypnotherapy is being used for medicines, and in fact in most of the cases hypnotherapy is better than traditional medication. For example, it is widely being used in irritable bowel syndrome, and in this syndrome, normal medication is not so much useful, but hypnotherapy can be very effective. Similarly, there are other applications like fibromyalgia, hypertension, hypno-oncology, multiple sclerosis, and pain management are some of the areas in which hypnotherapy is being used effectively. For pre- and post-anxiety of surgery dealing, hypnotherapy is widely used, while there are some new areas being explored and some are under pipeline. Hypnotherapy helps medicines. If you have been thinking that hypnotherapy gives you total alternate to medication, then you are thinking wrong, because hypnotherapy helps the brain to decide a more effective way to cure the problem with medication, or you can say that hypnotherapy makes the medicine's effect fast and more accurate. It accelerates the whole healing process and makes the medicine more effective. You can take hypnotherapy as a medicine for brain. Hypnotherapy for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. The major cause of IBS is anxiety, and person suffers from a syndrome and becomes reactive to certain trigger, which can be a smell, touch or any kind of other sensation. Hypnotherapy first removes that certain trigger from subconscious in the first step of its treatment. In second system, clients are made sure that their thoughts are contributing to the syndrome. In last and third step, they are told and guided that they can always control the syndrome by replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts. There are lots of reports which can tell you that hypnotherapy is most effective in this syndrome than any other treatment method. Fibromyalgia. The basic cause of fibromyalgia is miscommunication between mind and body. The symptoms are weak, but these are exaggerated by mind that they are going to occur in more severe form. There is a 3-step strategy against fibromyalgia. 1. First step is to remove pain and suffering of the patient. 2. Second step is to make the mind to believe that there is no pain and discomfort and it will also not occur. 3. Third step is to maintain this state of mind, and in order to do that you need to make sure that you are going through a session after every 4 to 6 months. 4. There are some other therapies which are also very effective in this problem, for example deep tissue massages in which muscles are relaxed and triggering points are removed. Other methods are available, but chiropractic treatments and therapeutic deep tissue massage have shown some fabulous results. Hypertension. There can be 2 causes of hypertension, as it can be caused by some external stimuli or it can be due to internal blood flow. Hypnotherapy will help hypertension if it is caused by external stimuli. The change is very effective, and hypnotherapy can bring a change from 8 to 40 points, while normal change is between 22 to 30 points both in diastolic and systolic. The basic therapy gives emphasis to stress and anxiety management. It also includes some relaxation techniques that clients can always use. Hypnotherapy suggestions focus on instructions that can make muscles and blood veins more relaxed. The results of this therapy can be very long-lasting, but a follow-up session after every 3 to 5 months will be more helpful in making the results more concrete. Hypno-oncology. Hypno-oncology is a process of motivating and encouraging positive changes and developing positive thoughts. It is also referred to as ICAN program. It contains all the self-help techniques. It is commonly observed that people who live in a better and contented mind state always do better with medication, even if they go through a life-changing disease. Every person perceives particular disease or state of mind in a different way. To alter that perception, inner motivation is carried out in hypno-oncology. Pain management. Pain management with hypnosis is a short-term but effective method. You can control pain through self-hypnosis permanently. Hypnosis normally produce endorphins, and endorphins are 25 times more effective than morphine. Hypnotherapy should be only applied when pain is properly diagnosed by a doctor. You can say that pain is an alarm that something is wrong in your body, and if you shut the alarm without curing the problem, then it is not a very wise decision. Wrapping up, hypnotherapy is a very powerful tool to help people in their most desperate situations. It has got solution for almost every physical, mental and emotional problem, but the key is to know your problem in the first place. You will come across different sort of people, and some of these people will tell you not to trust hypnotherapy, but you should try it yourself and see the results. To take advantage of hypnotherapy, you need a certified and qualified hypnotherapist, and if you went to some rookie, then problem will not be treated properly. There are different therapies used in hypnotherapy, as it is a very wide subject, and a qualified and wise hypnotherapist will use all of those therapies in order to take out the desired result. Hypnotherapy has a wide use in medicines too, and it is used to cure many physical and mental diseases, but the core part of hypnotherapy is to guide your subconscious part of mind to make some decisions. It is a very hard technique to apply, but is very much result-oriented. Thank you watching my video.